Donald Trump, for the first time, is giving details about money he raised and donated to veterans groups. He also provided a heavy dose of contempt for the press. Trump listed 41 organizations that he said received $5.6 million. He estimates that number will rise.
Now, CBS News has verified Donald Trump or his affiliated foundation gave 32 organizations $4.4 million in donations. At least 5 of them received the money just last week. Trump's own pledge of $1 million was donated on May 24th, nearly 4 months after his fundraiser in Iowa. While he answered the questions that began months ago, Trump also scolded reporters for questioning him in the first place.
I'm not looking for credit, but what I don't want is when I raise millions of dollars, have people say, like this sleazy guy right over here, he's a sleaze.
Why am I sleazy?
You're a sleaze because you know the facts, and you know the facts.
Ask fair questions.
The bad part about the dishonesty of the media is that people like me will be inclined not to do it anymore.
It seems as though you're resistant to scrutiny, the kind of scrutiny that comes with running for president of the United States.
I like scrutiny, but you know what? When I raise money, excuse me, I've watched you on television. You're a real beauty. When I raise money for the veterans, and it's a massive amount of money, I don't want the credit for it, but I shouldn't be lambasted.
Why do you resent just the verification process that is natural?
I wanted to make this out of the goodness of my heart. I didn't want to do this where the press is all involved, and all of a sudden everybody's going, where did it go? Who did it go to?
But don't you believe you should be accountable to the people? And
I'm totally accountable, but I didn't want to have credit for it. Now, actually, though, what I got was worse than credit because they were questioning me.
But what you're doing is you're answering the questions now that we had back then. It was just a question. Is a question an attack? Is a question an attack?
I think, and I've been dealing with the press a long time, I think the political press is among the most dishonest people that I've ever met.
I think you've set a new bar today for being contentious with the press corps, kind of calling us losers to our faces and all that.
No, not all of you, just many of you.
Enough of us. Is this what you do? Is this what it's going to be like covering you if you're president?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it is going to be like this, David.
As you saw, Major Garrett was at that news conference. He and Nancy Cordes have spent months on the campaign trail. They join us now in Studio 57. Good morning. It's great to have you here at 8 o'clock.
Great to be here.
So what is going on here between you guys? You're covering different campaign,
right?
And Donald Trump.
So look, for new initiates, yesterday was shocking. For those of us who've been on the Trump campaign for many, many months, it was not as shocking as it looked. All of us at one time or another have encountered Donald Trump, have been insulted by Donald Trump, have been intimidated, or there's been an attempt to intimidate us by Donald Trump. What you have to do is soldier through that, keep asking your questions, stick to your business, and ultimately Donald Trump will yield because he respects that sense of strength that a reporter brings to the task. I've lived that, I've seen that, other reporters have seen that, experienced that. There's a gamesmanship and a blood sport with Trump, and they live in very close relationship to one another.
But the question is, does he do this to distract attention, or does he do this simply because he can't help himself?
I think he can't help himself. There's a persona about Donald Trump that has spent many, many years in this city handing out nuggets about himself and getting publicity and working in a very transactional way. One thing he doesn't necessarily appreciate or necessarily like about political coverage is it's not anywhere near as transactional as the tabloids here are in New York.
But now he's got 3 major newspapers, though, calling him to task: the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, and the New York Times. It does seem different this time, Major, no?
It does. Their editorial reaction is to say, wait a minute, this is a moment. When you criticize a federal judge, you are essentially trying to undermine, or at least coming close to undermining, respect for an independent judiciary, something a presumptive nominee of a major party ought not to do, number one. And if you constantly say to the free press, you are illegitimate, are you trying to undermine the First Amendment? These are important issues for anyone who seeks to lead a major party. And Trump's going to have to deal with those questions and that scrutiny.
I want to get to Hillary Clinton in just a second, Nancy. Sorry to make you sit there. However, my concern is that this showmanship and berating of the press is a distraction from substance.
That's the point I was trying to make.
Yes. I mean, the point is that he said he was going to donate $6 million.
Right.
And it wasn't until the Washington Post reported last week that Trump had not yet donated to an organization $1 million. Did he then a day later make the donation?
Right, exactly.
Including the Associated Press reporting that last week half of the checks were donated. How has Hillary Clinton campaign responded to this?
Well, first of all, those of us who cover the Hillary Clinton campaign would love to have a press conference, even if she insulted us.
Yes.
You know, she hasn't done one for months and months, which
As
is
he
something
pointed
that
out.
In fact,
Donald
since
Trump
December
himself
4th.
noted.
Yeah. December 4th.
Exactly, in Iowa.
And why not?
She's just, not that comfortable in that setting. You know, last week, for example, when this big new report came out from the State Department's Inspector General, there were a lot of us on the campaign trail who were dying to ask her questions about it, and she avoided all of us. She did a couple of quick call-ins to some cable shows, but that was about it. She's just not interested in getting the kinds of tough questions out there on the trail. Lots of people shouting at her. That's not her milieu, while Donald Trump, of course, is very comfortable with that. Her response is to say that he's got a problem with the Constitution, that he has a problem with reporters asking the tough questions, and that she's been vetted in a way that he hasn't, and he's not comfortable when he's right there in the thick of it.
Does she seem to be changing her strategy on how she's dealing with Donald Trump, or does she have a strategy in dealing with him?
They're forming a strategy. He's a complicated candidate to run against, and her campaign acknowledges that. One thing that they're trying to do is to sort of break through all of the noise on any given day by picking an issue and just hammering him over the head with it. Yesterday it was veterans, so you had Hillary Clinton herself talking about his relationship with veterans. You had her supporters all over the country in battleground states doing interviews about it, doing press calls about it. And so they're going to try to do this more often. They're hoping that that's the kind of attack that will stick.
President Obama is giving a speech today.
In Elkhart, Indiana.
It is, in which a White House advisor, I reached out to them this morning, says that you will hear him engaging in the political debate in the most comprehensive way so far. Is it going to take Obama in order to draw a contrast or land a blow on Donald Trump?
Well, the president began this in Japan, and he's going to continue it by essentially saying the economic situation of this country is not nearly as dire as Donald Trump describes it. There has been progress, and just because you're dissatisfied doesn't mean things are as bad as they can be. That's going to be one of the underlying messages. And Elkhart, Indiana is a place the president visited in the heart of the Great Recession and believes it has come back.
But he's
going to make that statement.
He's gone
strongly.
beyond that, too. I know we're talking about what it might say today and in Japan. I mean, he's gone to question the questions that are raised about Trump's qualifications to be president.
Right, echoing what he is hearing from leaders across the world and saying, as the president of the United States, as someone who understands this job and understands the rigors of this job, the country has to take seriously if Donald Trump can as well.
And Hillary Clinton's giving a big speech on foreign policy on Thursday where she'll draw a contrast with
And
Trump.
she is focusing a lot more on her experience as Secretary of State. This is something she almost brought up not at all in the first few months of this campaign. There was a sense that the Benghazi crisis had kind of damaged her credibility. Now she talks about being Secretary of State all the time, the delicate diplomacy she did, making the point that Donald Trump's not capable of that.
My question is, as she tries to unite the Democratic Party, how much does she need Barack Obama?
Oh, he's a powerful weapon. You know, even if you didn't support Barack Obama, if you've got the President of the United States saying this man is unfit for office, he cannot do this job, if he's making that case over and over again between now and November, and by the way, Joe Biden is making that case as well, that's going to be a powerful tool for her.
There's a lot of time between now and November. And the bottom line is there was money raised for the veterans organizations. The message, I don't think that should get lost in this.
Absolutely.
No, more than anyone else has done.
More than
After
anyone
the
else
press-
has done.
After
Yes.
the press pressed him on that issue.
Right.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make the money any less real.
That's right.
That's right. Nancy and Major, thank you so much.
Thank you.